Christine. How are you?
I'm good. Lovely to see you both.
So, Christine, you grew up in London, and you grew up
No,
where? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Gloucester,
In
in
Gloucester.
sleepy Gloucester. Yeah. So,
Jesse, not all UK's, London.
Yeah, well, exactly. Now, when was the first time you sort of remember really thinking about the aesthetics of things? Because were you just born with that?
I think that I would say that I'm from a family of snappy dressers,
Yeah.
and my parents were snappy dressers and they were really interested in style, very interested in having the latest gadgets and bits and pieces in the home. My father, I have wonderful memories of my father, and this would have been in the 70s. So picking out, those wonderful large scale floral wallpapers, and there
Right.
was a wallpaper shop diagonally across the road. And so Dad would bring us over there and he would be picking out the latest 1970s design and did lots of, DIY and had his own taste, but it was all around pattern upon pattern.
Right.
And then I remember my mum similarly would take us in the other direction, but still diagonally across the road, to the local dressmaker.
Right.
And so she was always picking out fabrics, thinking about trimmings. And I still have some of Mum's trimmings that,
Yeah.
she just left. And so I have great memories of going across the road to Mrs. W, the dressmaker, and
Mhm.
having garments made. So I think both parents had a sense of style and an appreciation for aesthetics and what for them were beautifully designed things, and I think like a lot of that generation of migrants from Jamaica, they were makers themselves. So Mum was a dressmaker back
Mhm.
home in Green Hill in Jamaica, and Dad was a carpenter. So I think that idea of making, an appreciation of design, but also function as well as style was just in the house and around me the whole time.
Because he loved wool, right?
Yes, that's right. And
Right.
I love the idea of Dad and his friends and even back in Jamaica having English wool suits made.
Hmm.
Because again, for them that was the pinnacle of style, craftsmanship, and he carried that with him when he came to the UK. And I remember him having three-piece suits made and always English wool, often pinstripe, with a waistcoat and so on. So that was very much his look.
And your mom was more into lace and things like that?
It's interesting because I feel that, yeah, she was always very feminine, but my earliest memories of her dresses were probably her party dresses, which tended to be sort of lurex was involved. So the kind of shimmery shine was involved somewhere,
Right.
So this kind of, almost she brought a kind of everyday glamour to, parents and teachers' dinner and wine events at school. She would always be dressed in the latest fashions, but made locally by Mrs. W to Mum's design.
Was there a lot of color involved with your mother's, clothing?
It's interesting because I remember color in the house, but not necessarily in the color in the clothing that they wore and my mum wore. There's one lovely photograph that springs to mind where she's wearing a stripe shift dress and it's all in sort of oranges and yellow with black. And it's quite reminiscent of the textiles that Althea McNeish designed, those
Hmm.
wonderful brushstroke stripes. And it would have been in that era. So sometimes I wonder whether the fabric might have been designed by Althea McNeish. So yes, more colour in the house than what they would wear, I would say.
And growing up, did you identify as being part of a diaspora from Jamaica, or how did you think of yourself in the context of the world?
It's a great question because I think I really, from quite an early age, was conscious of inhabiting many different worlds. So there was the world that existed behind our kind of Victorian net curtain bay windows at home, which was probably very Caribbean with Blue Beat records on a Sunday, bit of
Hmm.
Jim Reeves playing as well on the radiogram, rice and peas and floral wallpaper. And then at school, I was a grammar school girl. So, at school, I was kind of more English than English. So I did inhabit and shuttle between different worlds. So I was kind of conscious of that. But I do think that mix, that kind of creolized upbringing is what being in diaspora is. So that's what
Hmm.
it means. You're living between spaces and created this almost third space and this almost third identity that is the tension and the coming together of both of those worlds.
In your community, and right there, were there other people as well? Like what was the makeup of your, town or your city? What was happening there?
Mm. Gloucester's a really interesting city, and it's tiny and it's sleepy and it's there in the Cotswolds. And often people are quite surprised to find that there was and is a Caribbean community there. But many people settled there after the war. There's also an American air base quite nearby in Fairford. And so you had this lovely mix of Caribbeans, West Africans, former American GIs that were in Gloucester when my parents were there. And the area that I grew up in was absolutely multicultural. And looking back, I think they were really progressive. So I remember as a child being quite crestfallen when I realized that Santa wasn't real. But I realized Santa wasn't real because Dad was Santa. So this is in the early 70s, and you have a black Santa,
Yeah.
But how wonderful. So it was a true, it was a working class area, truly multicultural, progressive, all about education. The schools I went to were fantastic, and particularly the grammar school. It's still one of the best grammar schools in the UK. So it was, again, it's this wonderful kind of mixture of things that fed into and sort of shaped me. And there was this small but vibrant Caribbean community. Many people were from the same parish, and so they gravitated towards Gloucester. So people knew each other. So I have great memories of family get-togethers, of church as well, meeting other Caribbean families through church. Our next door neighbours were Caribbean. So yeah, so this idea of inhabiting one world and then going off to the grammar school, inhabiting another, and the two somehow rub along.
Jamaica itself, you talk about Jim Reeves and Brooke Benton and Bob Marley. Those are all
Brooke Benton. Now that was my mother and father's favorite. I mean,
Right.
they always in the house. Brooke Benton. They had a favorite song, which
Right.
I do sort of listen to now and again. And yes, Brooke Benton. You can't beat that wonderfully velvety sound.
Now
Fabulous.
that's all Jamaican. That's all American. That's all that's all of those things mixed together. With Bob Marley thrown in there. When you start to think about context for that, and you're living in a multicultural area and there's different places, how do you start to provide context to all those things and then sort them out in a way that we can understand them as a museum goer?
It's interesting because I think that this idea of inhabiting this in-between space that is the space of diaspora, it's absolutely present in all of my work. And I think that it's there in the sort of richness of the stories that I tell through objects. So all of my work tends to have, I would describe it as a multivocality about it. So there are always many voices that might narrate a single object. And I always try and hold space for sometimes divergent voices, because I think that that's what life is. And so when you look at a show like Africa Fashion, that's what you experience. There isn't one single point of view. There are many points of views that are present in the space that might actually conflict. But for me, that's what gives the show its life and its energy. But I think it is rooted in that, that upbringing and that environment, that context that you're describing and that we're sharing now.
Is the clash of different cultures the thing that makes it so that men coming off the boat all are dressed in their finest wool suits? Is that the clash of culture that we see there?
I think so. And for me, I love the clash. I think creativity exists in that clash. I love, and I was always intrigued by the men coming off the gangplanks in their Sunday best suit, but there was always something slightly different. So it might be that the trousers were slightly too baggy to be, the restrained English look, or the hat was slightly turned. There's always that wonderful Stuart Hall described it as being akin to the knight's move in chess, a kind of forward and back and to the side. And it's all in the to the side. That's the thing that switches and turns. And I think in my work as a curator and writer, I'm interested in that that twist, that thing that makes it slightly different. And I think it is coming from that clash of cultures. It's really exciting.
Now, as you start to devote yourself to this idea of what you're going to study, just as much as there, you go to the museums, you're not seeing these things. Are you seeing them in the thrift shops? And are you starting to, is this a thing that we all miss in history? The thing that, what we choose to put in a museum may not always be the most relevant thing to studying a group,
I think so. Much of my early work in this field, it begins with family albums, for example, because we don't see ourselves in museum collections, or we might see ourselves in the work of documentary photographers like Vanley Burke in the UK or Stanley Sorry on the continent. But my work absolutely began with family albums. It began with speaking to elders, Caribbean elders of the Windrush generation, the guys that come off the boat. And I would typically say to them, tell me your story, but tell it to me through the clothes that you wore, and bring something with you. And invariably they would come with the hat that they wore on arrival, still with its feather, put back in its hat box. And they would tell me about their life. And they would tell me about, being made a suit in English wool at the age of 5 or 6, and then knowing how fabric hangs, knowing what their look was, knowing how to move their body in particular fabrics to be eye-catching. And so it was wonderful. That was the way that I began doing this research, because you don't find that in a museum, or at least you certainly didn't 20 years ago when I started to, I think, almost try and find my history, try and find my sort of creolized culture. I couldn't find myself in books and museums. So I almost sort of set about finding it through other means, whether that's through music, as you've described, or through a family album, or to speaking to an older person. I have wonderful recordings of the gentleman that I first started to speak to 20 years ago. And I have recordings of my parents remembering time at home. Dad was in a mento band with his brothers, and I wish I could listen to them, dad on the banjo and his cool brother on the drums. I love that. So I think I'm really intrigued by the stories that individuals have to tell, and how that sometimes how it often misses received history.
How do you take those stories that you were collecting and then really, make your way into museum? And also for the audience, we did skip a beat. Just tell everybody what you do, because you do many, many things, but I think it's important to get the context.
Sure. So I've had a kind of an intriguing career, in a sense, in that I started out as a fashion designer, but I've realized looking back that there was always a kind of I had to scratch an itch. I had to try and find myself. So at a certain point in my design career, I became principal designer at Laura Ashley, which for many people, I'm sure they'll remember Laura Ashley as the pinnacle of the English look, that kind of frilly, frothy, leg of mutton, Victorian English look.
Stuffy, a little stuffy, right?
A little stuffy, very kind of, in a way, stereotypically feminine. But I loved it. I have to say, I loved it. And I still have some of the pieces I designed. And then a co-worker said to me one day, oh, well, it's so great that you're head of design, because you're not exactly an English rose. And it was kind of meant, I know, it was meant, indeed, it was meant as a compliment, but it kind of rattled around in the back of my mind for a long while. It's like, I mean, what does that even mean? And at that point, I actually started writing short stories, which were all around arrival, around Jamaicanness and Britishness, and remembering the little fragments of sitting at my mother's knee, having my hair done, sitting between her knees, having my hair plaited, and listening to big people's talk, as we would say. And so I started writing these short stories, and I was amassing lots and lots of research, and not really knowing what to do with it. So then that led me to do a PhD eventually, to look at this idea of Englishness and Jamaicanness in dress, very much using my father as the inspiration. He was always described as a gentleman, and in his three-piece suit, and somehow didn't fit this stereotypical view of what Jamaican men are like, and I didn't see myself in the fashion world. So I go off to Goldsmiths and I do a PhD, but I'm still designing, good grammar school girl, slightly overachieving, working too hard. I carry on designing. So I go off and I do the PhD. And it's while I'm doing the PhD that I get interested in visual art again. So Goldsmiths, it's on the back of Brit Art, really. And my PhD supervisor, she was head of visual art at Goldsmiths during that sort of Brit Art era. So she was the one that really sparked my creativity or reignited my creativity. And I kind of found myself interning with Innova, co-curating shows, but always with this fashion textiles, identities, stories, oral histories component. And so I sort of come to the V&A, where I'm now the senior curator of Africa and Diaspora, fashion and textiles, and lead curator of Africa fashion. So all of these things kind of come with me in my kit bag to the V&A. So my work's always been around fashion, textiles, stories, vernacular histories, and how they miss or meet received histories, and looking at those absences, almost pulling open the absences or the gaps in an archive and speaking in there, passing the mic to other people to tell their stories. And so that's become the basis of what I now do in my curation at the museum.
Amazing.
Ilana Tsui said that cloth is to Africans as monuments are to Westerners. So, do you start to look at this bigger tapestry of Africa, and Africa is a huge continent, and there's I imagine it would be overwhelming to try and figure out where and what exactly fashion means. And South Africa is going to be different than Ghana, that's going to be different than Tanzania. It's like, how do you even start to think about something like that?
Absolutely, you're right. So it's 54 countries, depending on who you speak to. Some people say it's more, but it's because of the boundaries, the sort of artificial boundaries. And actually, I think it was Sonia Clark that said cloth is to the African, and then Ella Natsui quoted her. I find that really interesting as well. You've got the female artist, and then you've got the male artist. But nevertheless, I think beginning to work on Africa fashion, for me, it did feel like manna from heaven, I have to say. And it is a huge topic, and it's the first show that the V&A has done to solely focus on creativity from the African continent in our 170-year history. It is the first show of any kind to only focus on the continent. And so that, in a way, is why I chose to do a survey show. But choosing to do that, knowing it was a mammoth task, I think we just accepted it was a mammoth task. All we could do is give people a glimpse of the glamour and politics and take it from there, And in a way, the story is quite simple. We knew we wanted to tell a story that was about abundance rather than lack. We knew it had to be about agency. It had to be about the way that we see African creatives charting their own course within fashion and textiles now. What are the roots of those? And very early on, I really felt that the roots of what we see in contemporary fashion now and contemporary art and music, I think, is the independence era and the cultural renaissance that took place in the mid-20th century. So there you go. You have suddenly a story that you're going to tell. You suddenly have a structure. So we begin, our gallery is split on 2 floors, and the ground floor is very intimate. So you begin with the independence era and the cultural renaissance that came from it downstairs in that more intimate space that sets up a particular way of reading that material. So you're naming colonization, you're speaking about independence, but you're doing it through the work of artists, whether it's textiles designers, whether it's fashion designers, photographers, you're doing it through their eyes. Then the space opens up into a circular mezzanine, and that's all about the buzz of the contemporary African fashion scene. And my team and I, we just spoke to creators on the continent, listening really keenly to understand how they wanted to be represented. So the little clusters that you see upstairs, whether that's the mixologists on the one hand and the minimalists on the other, those groups came from talking to the designers about their work. And so that's how we went about it. And we ended up with, I think it's something like 22 countries represented and over 40 designers.
I wanted you to just go a little deeper with that quote Jesse referenced.
Mm.
Cloth, that's an amazing, I mean, what does that actually mean? Could you explain that a little bit deeper?
So cloth is to the African what monuments are to Westerners. And I think it can be taken literally. So, there are certain textile traditions like commemorative cloth, for example, where a slogan or a message might be literally printed on a fabric. So in the exhibition, there's a beautiful strip of 1960s seersucker cotton made in Ghana, and it's an open palm of a hand, and it says, "Freedom in my hand I bring." And it absolutely commemorates Ghana's independence. So there's that literal writing on the body through the cloth. But for me, I think it says something about the way that global Africa has maintained, so Africa and its diasporas, plural, has maintained an appreciation of cloth, an appreciation of aesthetics, and the valuing and importance of the presentation of the body, whether that's through draped fabric, through tailored clothes, to the way that one puts one's hair together, to the way that one walks.
Yeah.
It is a kind of a marker, a mapping of history, but it's also a way of communicating something about oneself that often is at odds with what society tries to tell you are, particularly in the global north when we are in diaspora. So that's the significance. I think that quote for me is about the significance of cloth and the significance of the presentation and representation or fashioning of the self.
So, this kind of exhibition, it's a very unusual opportunity to have this discussion with these designers who I can't imagine you run into every day. How did it change you, this experience of dealing with all these people? Because I can't imagine you'll be the same.
It's changed me. I mean, I have to say, I found at times I was really moved by speaking to the designers on the continent, because the work is just so outstanding. Much of it is research based. People are very clear about what they want to do with their brands. Sustainability is ground zero for all of the people in the show. And, they really are stretching the definition of what a fashion designer is and can be. And I just found it just extraordinary. As someone who's worked in the British fashion industry for such a long time, I've taught design, I've taught contextual studies to designers, and I would routinely come off the line, off calls to the creators on the continent, and be literally moved and speechless by the work, amazed by what they're doing. But also, I found it so empowering as a person of color, that sort of swell of pride, to be frank, when Imane, whose ensemble, he's based in Paris, but he's Cameroonian, and his piece opens the show. So we speak to him online about the first conversation. He was the first designer we spoke to, actually. And we speak to him online, and he's not sure what to expect. It's the V&A doing this show on the African fashion scene. And you know how on a Zoom call or a Teams call, other platforms are available. You can't see the other person quite often. You're presenting away, presenting away. I don't know what he's going to say, because people are a little guarded because of, the colonial history. People are a little guarded. It's understandable. So then I sort of finish the presentation. Everyone's back in the gallery, and he is just beaming. He is just beaming, and he's telling us about his mother, the first Miss Cameroon. He's talking to us about the cultural renaissance. He's absolutely on board with the story, the story of unbounded creativity, agency, because of course he's a man that has chosen to be part of the French couture system. So he is changing that, as well as changing the fashion system on the continent at the same time. And for me, I just had such a I felt such pride in who I am as a woman of color, as a creative woman of color, meeting such an array of talents, intellectual, creative, cultured individuals. I just felt a real sense of pride. And I think it has absolutely changed me.
Now, did you travel to the continent at all in this?
I was fortunate enough to go to Ghana. I went to Accra, but that was almost right at the end of the process because much of this, well, all of it was curated during lockdown. And again, it was a similar situation where in Accra for the first time, because it is different. It's a very different feeling from Johannesburg, where I had been to in the past. And many people say this, that South Africa has a different feeling about it. But to be in Accra, it was a really moving experience. And I remember our sort of driver, is obviously being Caribbean, you know that you were originally from West Africa, from somewhere, but you can't really trace it back, not very far. And our driver was literally sort of driving down one of the main thoroughfares, and I caught sight of the sea. And it was almost like I felt it in my body. I felt a connection, and almost it was both a connection and a loss, both things combined when I saw the sea. And he was wonderful, and he just pulled over, and we got out of our van, and just looking out at the sea, I can't explain it. I just felt connected to the land, to the environment, to the sea, and almost connected to a history that I know because I've read my history in books, but I don't know it personally. It was a wonderfully moving moment. So the whole experience of working on this show, I think, has changed me. Absolutely.
What has been the response? What is the public? Are you bringing in more people? Like, how is it changing?
It's it's glorious to watch. I often go down there to see. I sit incognito and I watch people coming in, and the stats tell us that 35% of the people that have come to Africa Fashion would self-identify as being of African heritage. 20% of the people, and this was in December, I think, December's stats, 20% of the people that visited the show had never been to the V&A before.
Wow.
And so it's just been remarkable. You go in, there are whole families go in there, all ages, all cultures. The people on the desk tell me that people come out smiling. There's a wonderful soundtrack that was created for us by the artist Gary Stewart. I go down there, people dance. I've given presentations and people are dancing in the presentation with me just giving an overview of what they're about to see. People dance. And I feel that it's really touched people. People feel at home there. It's opened up many conversations about the potential of African creativity, what that might look like, what it can mean. So I think people tell me also that they learn so much. So people are actually reading the gallery text, which is brilliant, because I always think maybe people don't read the gallery text. We spend such a long time writing it, the pain of writing all of that. But no, people are reading it and people watch all of the videos. It's incredible.
You referenced obviously the reference with French couture and the influence there of African design. Where do you see that in the UK, for example? And I'm thinking even in the monarchy and what that whole relationship is. What is, how does, it's everywhere. Obviously, this incredible culture comes all over the world, but in the UK, where do you see it?
I think what's interesting is that it is everywhere, but you see, I would say that it's not just fashion and textiles, it's also grooming. So you have someone like Charlotte Mensah, who started her business through the support of the Prince's Touch Trust. So thinking about the way that the royals, particularly King Charles, the now King Charles, has kind of quietly and silently for years supported small businesses, supported African heritage businesses like Charlotte's. And you see her work really taking off. You see her featured in, UKL magazine or Harper's Bazaar. So if you pick up UK Vogue with Edward Enninful, when I first started out in, at 15 and 16 buying Vogue, you'd never see a Black model, and I think I've kept the editions of Vogue with Naomi Sims in because they were few and far between. And then, of course, you had Naomi Campbell much, much later. But you pick up Vogue now under Edward Enninful's steer, and there are, models of all races and cultures within almost on every page. And similarly, cult magazines like Dazed, which all the kind of fashionistas, young fashionistas and trendies read. And that, of course, is I.B. Kamara at the helm. So I think that the African heritage influences is there, but I think it's interesting that it's now more visible in the establishment.
Yeah.
And I think it's changing. And I like this because I feel it's changing what the mainstream is. It's changing the makeup of the mainstream. And this, for me, I see this idea of the broader we, which as someone in diaspora, you've always had to inhabit many worlds. You've always had a vocabulary that encompassed so many different cultures, because that's the nature of being in diaspora. But to see people like I.B. Kamara, see people like Charlotte Mensah, see someone like Edward Enninful working within the mainstream, Kenya Hunt at Elle as well, many of us working at the mainstream, it's great. Also, the other thing that has been exciting for me, there's a wonderful organization called FACE, and it's Fashion Educators of Color, in essence. Who knew there were so many of us? Who knew that there were so many of us working in industry and then going into teaching? And so this organization was set up during the pandemic. And it's brilliant, because you suddenly realize that you might have been working. While I was at Laura Ashley, there was someone else, at Oasis or somewhere, and now suddenly we're all connected. And there's a real strength in that. And for me, there's a real joy in us coming together, because I think people often forget that all of the clothes that we wear would have been designed by someone. So it's not just about these name designers. There's an army of people like me that behind the scenes were heading up these British brands. And it's almost as though we're all coming out of the woodwork now, which is wonderful, I think. I think that's really, really positive for fashion education in the future. It's an exciting moment.
Fashion in the future, what role do the archives of now play? And do we have, are we thinking about things that should be saved that we haven't in the past? It tends to be that the past sort of disappears the further we get from it. Are we making steps to archive the present?
I think so. Certainly at the V&A through Africa Fashion, that was one of the reasons why we had the public call out. Traditionally, fashion collections within museums, we would have collected the dress of noteworthy persons, shall we say, particular classes. But I think that that's really shifting. So everyday dress, I would describe as everyday dress, has a place within our museum archives. So telling the stories of everyday people through the clothes that we all wore, whether that's through actual garments and the stories attached to them, or through photographs and the stories attached to them. So I think there's a real movement towards that within museum culture at the moment, within the realms of museum collecting. And I think that's really important so that we can tell richer stories in the future about the history that we're living through now.
We in the United States, we have these culture wars going on. I don't know whether it's the same in the UK, but we have this cultural appropriation. But it seems like, where do you come down on that kind of feeling? Because don't we want to see, isn't the clash people taking bits and pieces of other things and putting together and forming something new? Or what's your thoughts on this?
It's interesting because I think with this idea of creolization that comes out of the clash, it is, as you described, the coming together of different elements to create something new. With appropriation, I feel it's that kind of smash and grab, that pillaging of other cultures with little or no respect for the origins of an object or an idea. And I think that for me has always been unacceptable, and it's rife within the fashion industry. It always has been, particularly I think in the UK, where we have that kind of high street fashion system that is all about fast fashion and the next idea, and that next idea might come from anywhere. So for me, I'm really pushing appreciation where people actually feel they have the ability to research cultures, the ability to research an object, and to wear something, but knowing where it was from, knowing who made it, be able to speak about it, be able to understand whether it's appropriate to wear that or not. What is the history of that object or that idea? Because I think no culture is singular. Cultural expressions have always evolved. Nothing is pure. Cultural identities always evolve. Nothing is pure. And so we're trying to pin something down that's always in flux, which I don't think you can do. So for me, I'd love to see a move towards appreciation. So people are not quite so, because I feel it's almost the people that do appreciate that are the most hung up and anxious about all of this.
Mm,
And it's the smash and grab people that carry on
right.
appropriating. You know, I've even had someone say to me, "What is it okay for me to appropriate?" And I just well, no, you can't appropriate. Please don't
Right.
appropriate anything.
Right.
That's not the point. But I think to sort of mindfully and consciously engage with other cultures, because I definitely think, being of Caribbean heritage, newness comes from that clash. Newness comes from that exchange and engagement between different, often opposing cultural elements.
You know, in South Africa, the South African Leadership Academy, you know, if you go there, there's kids from all over the continent come there. And, you know, it used to be that these kids would want to go off to Harvard or Yale or some institution or Oxford, somewhere like that. Now they want to stay on the continent, you know, and you get the feeling that 50 years from now, where me and Priscilla live, they'll be sending aid here to help the Americans, you know. So it's, you know, what's your feeling about the future of Africa and the future of fashion and just the future of the continent in general?
I think this is one of the things that I came across through the conversations with the creators on the continent. There is a sense that they are charting their own course. There is a sense, whilst many of them want to sell their work internationally, there is many of them, like Enquo, for example, who are quite happy to service just the local, you know, the continent. That is her market, and she's happy to service that market, you know, with her slow fashion. So for many of them, there's almost a kind of a blinkered approach in that they almost don't care whether the global north is watching. And I love that. I think that's really refreshing. And for me, I think that's why that we look at the continent, we see them working in fashion, consuming fashion, producing fashion in a different way. And I think it's because they're not so tied to comparing themselves to the global north. They're absolutely about making their own sustainable fashion ecosystem on the continent and looking out at the rest of the world from there rather than the other way around. So I think we've got a lot to learn from the continent.
How beautiful was all of this work that you saw there that you selected, you know, and how were you surprised by this creativity and this just, you know, this color and just this imagination?
I have to say, I might be biased being of African heritage by way of the Caribbean, but I wasn't surprised by the creativity at all. I knew it would be outstanding before we even started. So, you know, I still have my original pin board from, you know, week 2 at the V&A, where I'd scribbled on a post-it, agency, unbounded creativity and abundance. And that was the story that I thought we would find. And that's what we found. You know, it was incredible, absolutely incredible. But I think what was fun though, curating during lockdown, we would have these kind of conversations and studio visits, virtual studio visits, and then a box would arrive. And then you'd open that box and out would come the most incredible work. I remember there was a pair of trousers by the designer Lisa Followayo. And Lisa Followayo, she does use a lot of print cloth, but she'll use it in really unusual ways. And she beads things. And we knew that because you read about her work, you do the studio visit, you talk to her, so you know. But my goodness, we opened the package. It was incredible. And I think it took something like 120 hours to bead. And it was
Um,
the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, just exquisitely made, beautiful hand beading like you've never seen before. And that will always stay with me, pulling that out of the packet. And then I think the other one was Patience Tallaway, who was recommended by the late Andre Leon Talley. And she has a very classic hand. And in a way, we sort of looked at Patience's work and we sort of almost put her in a, oh yes, classic box. And I know that she was speaking about what it is to be a woman and she dresses women and it's all around femininity. The box arrives, we pull out the dress, and it is yard upon yard upon yard of black mousseline with the most exquisite Swiss lace, gold lace, trimming. And it was at that point that we understood what Patience does. The woman that wears that you know, you have to give that woman space. Crowds would part, you know, if you wear
Right.
that dress because of the volume and the movement as you walk in it. And we didn't really understand that in a team school, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we pulled it out of the box, and it is just one of the most beautiful things you've seen. So there were some great surprises, you know, and also things being bigger than the designer said, so things having to move at the last minute. So that was all really great fun. But beginning this project, I didn't know where we would find it, but I knew that we would find the most incredible work.
You know, it makes me feel like with the Met here, you know, they have the gala.
Yeah,
I want to see all of these things, people, you know, like a fashion show. Are you doing
yes.
that? What is the equivalent of that?
Well, we did have at the V&A, we had Fashion in Motion with Tebe Magugu, who's a South African designer, and it was incredible. So we took over the Raphael court, so beautiful, high ceilinged, gorgeous, sort of indigo blue painted walls with these wonderful Raphael paintings and cartoons. And we had Tebe have his catwalk show there, and he showed it for the first time. I think it was the autumn winter. I get the seasons incorrect. I should know, having worked in fashion, but you know, I'm slightly scrambled at this point which season it was. However, we had his fabulous fashion show, and it was brilliant. So he showed the collection there for its first outing. So you have members of the public, everyday people. You just booked online. It was free. You just booked. You showed up, and you witnessed, you know, in what was essentially an international fashion show in the Raphael Courts at the V&A.
Yeah.
The
Amazing.
great and the good in the audience, beautiful garments on beautiful models. It was such an experience. And for me, one of the exciting moments, I sat there again, I do a lot of incognito turning up for these events. And through Africa Fashion, I was really keen that I think there is something within me that wants to ignite the creative spirit in young people. And I think it's my teaching background and mentoring background. So we had a wonderful group of, I think there were 12 of them in the end, 12 to 15, 16 to 24-year-old creatives of colour that self-identified as being of African heritage. And they kind of journeyed with us with the development of Africa Fashion. And we would have wonderful brainstorming sessions with them. And you know, they could pitch ideas for the show, they could pitch ideas for events, and that we did actually run one of the event ideas that they pitched.
Yeah.
But there was a moment at the Tebe Magugi show where two of the young people that had come with us as part of the youth co-design group were there the same day I was. And they came over and they were just beside themselves. And, you know, they're sort of 18 and they'd never been to a fashion show before. They'd never been in the V&A before. And there they were working with us on Africa Fashion, then coming back and seeing an international fashion designer showing work, you know, a proper fashion show. And I think they said, oh, we've never been to a proper fashion show before, but they were absolutely beside themselves. And then, of course, that same group, they developed an event called, I think it was about hair, the politics of hair, and it was their idea, and we supported them to run it. And that was incredible. You know, you were asking me, Priscilla, about the reception. On that Saturday, again, I went along in disguise. On that Saturday, security had to put in an emergency one-way system in the museum because there were so many people wanting to go to this event that a group of 16 to 24-year-olds with our support essentially put together. It was extraordinary.
Amazing.
Absolutely extraordinary. And those are the highlights of the work I now find myself doing. I mean, it's just such a blessing and an honor to be able to do that.
You know, what's the disguise you wear? I'm sure it's not very good, actually. You know,
I think I'm just me, but I think I'm quite short, so I can hide. Obviously, I'm 5'2".
I'll hide with you. I'm very
Yeah.
short as well.
Yeah.
I sort of do lots of sitting at the back, you know,
Yeah.
skulking around at the back, sit down and watch the world go by.
Yeah.
But I think I'm probably, people kind of know who I am now, so it doesn't quite work. I need to put on actual disguise now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this was so spectacular. So great to have this opportunity. we'll make sure that people who watch this podcast, we'll send links and any pictures we can show about, particularly at the V&A and the work that you're doing. But I think, Jesse, we're due to go over. I think it's time for us to get on a plane. We have in the past, before the end, we would travel all over. Been to many countries in Africa for some of our work. So, but we'd like to come to London.
Now we don't travel anywhere, so
we don't go anywhere except to our Zoom room. But maybe it's time for us to come to the UK and take
travel
a
again.
visit.
Lovely conversation. Thank you very much for being with us and talking about these things.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.